Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 14th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday. The Big Brother 27 live feeds. It was day 37 in the house, and it was the final full day before tonight's eviction. There was some campaigning and a lot of one-on-ones for someone in particular. So we're going to get through all of it. And with me to talk through all of it is Mari. How you doing, Mari?
Hello. A lot of candy fondling throughout the day. A lot of switching votes. It was a day. Did you say it's day 30 what? It feels like day a million in this house. So
we are not quite halfway there yet, but getting close. So, of course, with Ava as the HOH, Keanu, Vince, and Zach are on the block as we headed into day 37. The consensus was temporarily at Keanu is evicted in all circumstances. Then Vince is evicted against Zach. And that's primarily because Zach had, at that point, managed to flip Morgan, who then subsequently kind of flipped Mickey into keeping him over Vince. So that is where the status of the vote is coming into the day. We've talked a lot about where all of these votes fall and what the sort of swing votes are. There's some important updates on all of that as we get through the day. But the main sort of protagonist, or maybe you would say like anti-hero at best of the day, was certainly Mickey, who, you know, put Lisa having veto-itis last season to shame by as doing her like thing as her status as the swing vote, as a swing vote this week. She is conducting one-on-ones with people, building up a queue of people to talk to while the nominees themselves are less busy.
it was like she heard you say, like, oh, the vote kind of depends on where Mickey goes this week. And she said, bet. And she's like, everybody, come to not my HOH room. It wasn't her HOH room, but you would have thought it's not even veto-itis. It's not veto-itis. It's not HOH-itis. It's just big head
swing vote-itis.
Yeah, ego-itis. Like, it was so ridiculous to watch. I'm like, okay. And it just goes to show you again, like we were talking, this is a game full of passive players versus active players. And even if you are playing horribly, if you are actively playing, things are bending to your will. It is ridiculous.
The game is often the game of Big Brother often is or can be described like this. If there are enough people who aren't playing or who want to lie low, it's like that game where it's like, all right, like Mr. Beast does this, right? Like, all right, if only one person steps forward, they get $1 million. But if more than one person steps forward, nobody, you're all eliminated. And so this is the kind of scenario where like Mickey's like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then if nobody else does it, she gets her way. Now, the problem is her way is not exactly what's best for her game, at least in my opinion, but we'll get to all of that. Mickey talks to, I want to sort of follow the story of Mickey because she's just throughout the entire day is so prevalent. And there's honestly way too many conversations to talk about. So I really want to focus in on Mickey here at first, at least. And the day kind of, for me at least, with her story starts with her conversation with Morgan and Zach. Again, the night before, she was doing the M&Ms with Morgan. Morgan brought out the M&Ms and they were doing the M&Ms, talking about the different scenarios and why they probably should keep Zach in the game. So that is where they kind of kick off. And so now they're kind of like, they're the trio now, right? Like Zach is like, I'm so feeling so good. And they're talking about Rachel, and Zach is anti-Rachel now, right? Like that's the big, I'm anti-Rachel, just like you guys want me to be. That's what you want me to be. I'm also anti-Lauren, if that's what you guys want me to be, as long as you'll keep me. And so they're talking about Rachel. And Mickey is still just appalled at the fact that Rachel would have the gall to want to get to the end of the game when she doesn't deserve it. She just doesn't deserve it. And Zach is like, well, listen, if she makes it to the end, I'll vote for her. And Mickey and Morgan in unison, no! No!
No.
No.
He was like, what?
Hey, Zach, we can still vote you out, you know. We can still vote you out. Don't you say that. Mickey's like, yeah, we would never vote for Rachel. I would vote for Kelly over Rachel in the final two. Zach's like, well, I mean, I know that, but that's what I mean. Like, she's going to use that as a strategy. She's going to say, well, nobody's going to vote for me in the final two, so you should bring me there. And Mickey then says, well, nobody's going to be stupid enough to believe that.
As she says that she wouldn't vote for her in the final two. What are we doing here? What is happening? That was so funny. They jumped him so quickly too. He was like, "Oh, I mean, I'm so, like."
He was just trying to do the logical thing in this house is like, oh, how no. And it's weird to say Zach is doing the logical thing in this house. But he's doing what you're supposed to do if you don't want somebody to be able to use the fact that nobody will vote for them in the final two, is you say, well, given her current status in the house, if she makes it, I'll vote for her. That means you shouldn't take her to the end. She's not an easy person to be. But no, Mickey wants to have it both ways. She wants us all to never, ever agree we should ever vote for Rachel under any circumstances, but also you're stupid if you believe she doesn't win in the end.
Exactly. Oh, God. It wasn't even a two-man power trip. It started off like the three of them, and then Mickey just took the baton and said, no, I'm the dictator here. So it was great.
So the big conversation that I recapped a few days ago, of course, had Zach telling Morgan about his conversation during the punishment with Rachel, where Rachel told him, implied to him, and then later confirmed that Mickey was the one who potentially got him on the block and was campaigning for him to leave. She's telling the truth to Zach, of course, but he's telling Morgan this, and Morgan, after a very long preamble, essentially said, you should tell this to Mickey, because then Mickey will know that you are anti-Rachel and Mickey will be willing to keep you. So under Morgan's advice, Zach then finally tells Mickey, hey, I just want you to know the other thing that I haven't really said yet is that Rachel told me that you were the one trying to campaign against me, that you said the thing about the 10K, so on and so forth. Mickey, of course, says, that's a lie.
Right. And the funny thing is, at the time when Morgan told him to do that, we were all like, that's stupid. Don't listen to Morgan. That's not how you stay. And sure enough, he does this. He gets, they said the Mictator. He gets her on his side and she goes to work for him.
But see, I'm going to disagree with this. I think this was the turning point in the day. I think that once she finds this out, you can see the wheels start to spin, and pretty soon she's campaigning against him after this. Because I'll make the case.
We'll get to it. Okay, please make the case. It felt like most of the day she was campaigning for him, and then after the 10K veto power, that's when I thought she turned on him, but I don't know.
No, she was definitely campaigning against him prior to that.
Because in the Ava conversation.
Yeah. Here's my thought process for what I think is going on in Mickey's mind.
Yeah.
But he tells her about this Rachel thing. So first of all, she denies saying the 10K thing.
Yeah.
She denies being the person who was trying to get him on the block. Of course, these are lies. And then she says also, and she's very upset. I can't believe Rachel would do that, so on and so forth. And then she also, of course, says, you should have told me about this earlier.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of late to be telling me about this.
Right.
And so she chastises him a little bit there. But I think, after this conversation, we start to see Mickey talk more with some other people. And we start to see her slowly shift from, I want to keep Zach over Vinny, to, I've been thinking about it. And given that Rachel is such a problem and that Rachel trusts Zach so much, that's a problem. So it's actually probably better to keep Vinny because Rachel is targeting Vinny. Rachel will put Vinny up on the block. She won't put Zach up on the block because she trusts Zach and wants to work with him, told him this information. And so she starts campaigning in her one-on-ones for a new thing, which is Vinny stays over Zach. They both stay over Keanu. And this continues for a while. She does eventually find out about Zach's power. We'll talk about that as well. But in my mind, it's this conversation that sort of changes her mind to go more in the direction of Rachel is even more of a problem, and she's trying to work on Zach, which is reminding me of how they're like, this wasn't like Zach is anti-Rachel to her. This was Rachel is pro-Zach and very anti-Vinny. And so I need Vinny in the game to keep distracting her.
So I got there by the end of the night. I just didn't realize that it had started so soon and that makes sense with her conversation with Ava. And because I guess also what I was mostly watching was her really full force campaigning against Keanu. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
that was kind of like the smoke screen, if you will. Like, it's like, we got to keep Vinny and Zach. We got to get rid of Keanu. And then it was like, but also we can get rid of Zach if it comes down.
I don't blame you because these conversations are very convoluted. Let me tell you, annoying and difficult to listen to. Every time she pulls out the M&Ms, I'm just like ready to say, all right, I've officially sided with the ants. Let's steal all of the M&Ms from these people. So yes, Mickey then spends the rest of the day campaigning primarily against Keanu, but also in the event of Vinny versus Zach, she will occasionally say, I'm torn. She will occasionally push for Zach to stay, but then primarily will be pushing for Zach to go over Vinny, using, again, the argument of Rachel will target Vinny. And she specifically says this to Will and to a couple of other people throughout the day. So again, she's like conducting one-on-ones. One of the first people she talks to is Ava up in the HOH room. And this is a very funny conversation because she, again, pulls out the M&Ms. She's been inspired by Morgan. Pulls out the M&Ms and starts going to work. So here's the thing. We've got these people over here. We've got these people over here. And the thing about what she's doing, and she does this with every person she talks to, she whips out the M&Ms. She literally lays out the entire structure of the house from her perspective, including the people she's working with, the people that she's working with on the other side, her enemies, what she plans to do with her enemies, how she plans to target them, who she plans to nominate in order to backdoor them, and why. And it's all from her perspective. It's like, here's why I think this is good for me. And if it's good for me, it's good for you.
Yep.
That's basically the pitch to every person.
And I'm like, come on, guys, y'all have to read into the subtext. Like, I don't know if we'll wait till we get to, I think the Will combo was really, really, really illuminating. And I'm just like, she's saying the quiet part out loud. She is telling you her totem pole, her structure. And everybody's like, And like, that was the annoying part of the day, because it was like, you have to watch Mickey talk to one person, and then you have to wait for that person to go talk to their trusted ally to hear what they thought about the Mickey combo. And it And it was here, it was there. There are people talking on all of the feeds. I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I don't know how much more of that I can take. All for this to basically probably most of it not even matter because of the BB blockbuster.
And it's pretty disastrous all the way around. There are very few people that come away from their conversations with Mickey feeling good. And Ava is certainly not one of them. So she makes this pitch to Ava, and she's saying essentially like, so we got to get Keanu out. And Ava's like, I thought we were keeping Keanu. And
Exactly
she's like,
like that.
No, Ava, no, that's not what we're doing anymore. Okay, we're getting rid of Keanu. And she's like, okay, I guess. I mean, what is that? Who cares? One of them is gonna go. One of them's gonna go. She's like, no, Ava, it might come down to a tie. I need you to listen to me. Keanu, you need to break the tie to evict Keanu. And she's like, okay, so I might break a tie. So what am I? I'm keeping Keanu? No.
No.
You're evicting Keanu. Okay. And what about Vinny and Zach? You're keeping Vinny now. Keeping Vinny? I'm evicting Zach. So I'm keeping Keanu too? No, you're evicting Keanu and you're evicting Zach. And it's like, it's so funny because there's a very thinly veiled sort of thing that Mickey does, which is like she's telling people what to do, but she's like very thinly veiling that she's telling them what to do. But when Ava asks clarifying questions, the veil is immediately dropped, and it's just no, listen, this is what you're doing. And Ava's just like, oh, okay. And this goes on for a long time. Mickey eventually leaves, and Ava's just to the camera, just like, what?
It's so funny to me, right? Because any other kind of HOH is like, once the HOH puts up the noms, once the veto is done, the HOH job is done. And I think that's what Ava thought. Unfortunately for Ava, there are two scenarios where it might be a tie. And I think if Mickey could have like shaken Ava, she would have. Because Ava was just like, they're gonna go home anyways. And Mickey's like, no, Ava, there are scenarios where you will have to break the tie. And correct me if I'm wrong, Taran, the scenarios that they're thinking about isn't even the ones that I have down. Like, I'm thinking that Vinny is the safest against Keanu, I believe. But they think that that's the tighter vote.
It might actually be tighter.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll definitely run through all the voting scenarios by the end.
Yeah. So Mickey is like, so this is the part where I was really paying attention, because I was like, okay, it truly may come down to an Ava tiebreak vote. Like, to me, that's, that seems like a lot likely. And so she's telling Ava, we can't keep Keanu. And this is what I was referencing, because again, 3 days ago, Mickey wanted to keep Keanu. So I'm with Ava. I'm like, okay, catch me up. And so she's like, no, we gotta evict Keanu. And then when her and Ava were going back and forth between Zach and Vinny, Ava was trying to be like, Zach will put me up. And Mickey was like, no, he won't. And Ava's like, I'm pretty sure he will. And she's like, and it's fine because we all got to touch the block. But Mickey's like, no, Zach won't. We can make him not put you up. And I was just like, what?
And but even if you do go up, it would just be as a pawn.
Yes, exactly. Yes. She kept saying that. And then she made it seem like she did switch. She's like, okay, all right, between Zach and Vinny, then Zach goes home. Yeah, let's do that. And Ava's like, yeah, because Vince, the kid, he seemed so sad. He came in here with his egg costume. It was all of this back and forth, but it does seem that, like we said, if Ava has to break the tie with Keanu, Mickey wants her to get rid of Keanu. If it's between Vinny and Zach for a tie, they landed on getting rid of Zach. And that is why I really was confused. I was like, I thought you're trying to keep Zach in here. So maybe I'm so confused.
Yeah. So again, I think my theory is that Zach revealing the Rachel information is definitely what seems to have flipped Mickey back to
Mhm.
evicting Zach. Especially again because of her argument about the reason why she wants that to happen is she's worried about Rachel. Rachel will put Vinny up, she won't put Zach up.
Yeah.
And so she has this conversation with Ava, and Ava, after Mickey leaves, is just like, oh, she talks so much. I just don't. What was with the M&Ms? I don't even, frankly, I don't even remember what I'm supposed to do. I don't remember what she said. Um,
That's so
and now we don't like Rachel anymore. I like Rachel.
Yes, yes. I'm like, I want it to come down to a tie because I just want Ava to just do what she wants to do and then pull the, oh, I was supposed to vote the other way. Like, what was that? The Syrian survivor? Or...
I think that Ava is already setting up a, oh, sorry, Mickey, I got confused, because it's pretty
Mhm.
clear to me she does not want to break the tie to evict Keanu.
Right.
That I think if she were choosing, and if she's not pressured by Mickey in the moment enough to go the other way, that she would break the tie in favor of Keanu over both Zach and Vince. What
Right.
she clearly did want to do is break the tie in favor of Vince over Zach. So Zach, I
Mhm.
do think, will lose a tiebreaker with Ava at this point. I think Keanu will win one over both of them.
Right. And that was another thing too, because at the beginning of the week, Rachel was so like anti Vince and wanting Vinny gone. And so I was wondering if that would trickle down to Ava with Ava's decision of Vinny versus Zach. But I agree with your
She
take. I think
really,
Zach goes
in
home.
Ava's mind, Zach handled being nominated much worse than Vinny
Yes,
did, which is
I
not
agree.
actually particularly true. But
Mhm.
she
True.
saw it with Zach a lot more than she did with Vinny, and so that is a big part of it. So
Yep. Great point.
that conversation happens. Mickey again continues to do one-on-ones for her preferred outcome, pulling out the M&Ms each time, doing the entire thing. And so she goes to Catherine and Riley and makes the same pitch. We need to get rid of Keanu. We need to keep Zach against Keanu. And Riley and Catherine are kind of like, I don't know about that. But they're kind of holding their cards fairly close to the chest.
Mhm.
And so Mickey sort of continues her pitch. And again, part of this pitch is that this is my game. I have Will and Ava over here, and we have Zach and Vinny and Morgan over here, and Zach's willing to cut Lauren, so we don't need to worry too much about that. But Lauren will have to go before jury, probably. And I like Ashley. She's over here. I would like Ashley on the jury, but obviously Keanu and Rachel and Kelly will probably go. Oh, and probably Lauren before jury. And so what I would do, I wouldn't tell Rachel because I would want to surprise her about this, even though I'm telling the entire house. I would want to backdoor Rachel, and so I'd probably nominate like Ava and Lauren. And she doesn't tell Catherine this, but Catherine is on that list potentially. And Catherine, after this conversation, is just like, I can't believe she would say that she's putting up Lauren in front of us. Like like we like Lauren.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so telling Kat and Riley that you're gonna put up Lauren, and then also saying, "Yeah, I'll throw Ava up there as a pawn," as you're telling them that you feel that you're connected to Ava. And I was just like, "What are we?" I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to ask it 8 million times. What are we doing here? Because Mickey and Catherine's conversation was so funny because Mickey's like, "This is what I'll do, da, 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 run down my game." And then she's like, "But what about you, Catherine?" And Catherine's like, like Catherine didn't want to tell. She's like, see, that would be hard for me because she said it would be hard for her to put up Kelly as a pawn as opposed to putting up like Keanu as a pawn, which was kind of a way for Kat to kind of advocate to keep Keanu. And then she was like, and you want to backdoor Rachel? And Mickey was like, and she was like, oh, okay. It was like a lot of hemming and hawing. And did we get an actual like answer out of Kat for what she would do before Riley came and interrupted them?
No, not to Mickey. People keep assuming what they're going to do, but they have been pretty tight-lipped about it for the most part, even to themselves to some degree, which we'll talk about. But that's so that again, the conversation with Ava falls pretty flat with Mickey, seemingly. Conversation with Catherine falls very flat. Catherine seems pretty annoyed with Mickey. She's kind of like, I'm really starting to get tired of all of Mickey's stuff going on. Like, why is she talking about Lauren to us? Like, this is kind of a lot. Mickey also talks to Will, which I mentioned already, and of course, again, she does the whole. She whips out the M&Ms, and she tells him the whole thing. Rachel's got to go. Rachel sucks. Of course, with Will, he's agreeing with everything she's. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the thing about Rachel is that like on her original seasons, she was dealing with like people who aren't as smart as this cast. So she's really struggling this time. And like, listen, I know Will is just like giving lip service, but oh my God, Will, it's not that you're too smart, it's that you're too dumb for Rachel.
Yes, exactly that. And he said, yeah, the game of Big Brother changed. And Mickey's like, yeah, I hate that for her. I was like, you guys, nobody can predict this house because y'all are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
through this conversation, though, she tells Will she wants to put Ava on the block as a pawn to backdoor Rachel.
Which makes no sense because if I'm Will, Will didn't say anything here, but if I'm Will and you're like saying that you're willing to put Ava up as a pawn, but it's like, but you have like Morgan, Zach, Vinny, because this is in the scenario that Keanu goes home because she's trying to convince Will to get rid of Keanu. I'm sitting here like, oh, okay, so I'm at the bottom of your total. She tells Will she wants to get like Ashley will have to go eventually. Like,
she's
what?
The way that she's laying, and this is driving me up a wall with Will and Ashley. We'll get to them soon because they're apparently the only people who have been somewhat convinced by this, and they're the people who should be convinced by it the least. Because what Mickey is actively laying out to them is, I have Vinny, Zach, and Morgan, and a bit of Lauren over here, and then I have you guys over here, and yeah, they're kind of coming for you, but I'm the bridge between the two of you, and if I'm gone, it's just like open season. So you definitely want me here so that we can continue to pick off all the other stragglers, so that it's just us left with them, with me in the middle. At which point we win, I guess. We just beat all of these big athletic people in competitions. And you guys are at the bottom of that, and we definitely get rid of Ashley as well first. Like, and somehow Will talks to Ashley and he's like, yeah, I think it makes sense.
My God. I think we stick with Mickey's plan. I'm like,
if Mickey leaves, then there's no bridge between the two of our groups. What in the Paul but honest is happening?
I could not believe that Will really consider that. Like, she is talking about putting Ava up as a pawn. Like, that is one of your closest allies. There are too many people in this house for her to be saying she's going to put Ava up as a pawn next week, not in the future. Next week, if she wins the wall. What are we doing here?
Now, to be fair to Will, he had the conversation with Ashley earlier before the conversation with Mickey. But it was the same argument that had already been given to him, just not quite all of it like the Ava is a pawn stuff. Yeah. But that said, it did not seem to change Will's mind. He didn't run to Ashley to be like, oh, wow, we actually need to keep Keanu now, or anything like that. Like, he still seems to be fully on board with this, which we'll talk about, which is that Mickey spends some time with Ashley telling her, hey, Rachel's got to go. She's targeting me, which is an evolution from her previous conversation with Ashley about how she needs to distance herself from Rachel. And she actually went ahead and said, and also just, you know, people are probably going to put you on the block next to Rachel. Sorry about that. There's nothing that can be done about it, but don't worry. We're targeting Rachel and not you. And Ashley's like, wait, why are we doing this? Because she's coming for me. Sorry, I heard her say it. So basically that's what's happening. And of course, Ashley doesn't love this. And again, Ashley doesn't like have another huge conversation with Will after this conversation where they come back together. But the thing of it is that Ashley and Will have confirmed to each other that they do plan to evict Keanu in any circumstance. That is their new goal in the game. He's too much of a wild card, and therefore they want to keep Zach and Vinny. Now, I do not chalk this up to Mickey's campaign. This is definitely more so Zach's campaign to Ashley. That Ashley feels like she is now in a working relationship with Zach and Morgan and wants to vote with them to take out Keanu, who doesn't really do much for her in the game. And while theoretically that could make some sense, it's been explicitly laid out by Mickey that it doesn't. And it's actually wild that Will and Ashley plan to vote out Keanu. It's genuinely just like an anathema in the house to vote in your own interests, apparently. Like I'm blown away.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate to give props after a stupid move, but Zach not using the 10K veto, dumb, stupid, whatever, ridiculous to me. However, I will say that him not using the veto, he has put in work to get the votes that he needed. So he went from like legit not being on the block, going home before using that veto, to basically saving him and his closest ally, as long as they're not on the block together. And he did it through getting to Morgan, getting to Mickey, like really hitting the ground running for getting those votes. So I have to give it to him. At least he didn't use the 10K and then just like laid around. But
I do have a better idea. I have a better idea for him, which is do the same thing, only protect Morgan and Vince instead of yourself and Vince, so that in the event that Keanu does win, it's Morgan that goes home and not you, perhaps. I don't know. That's just a thought. Hey,
Taran, that's 5D chess, apparently. We're still at checkers level, and he jumped somebody. I don't know the language, but like it, I'll get the smallest, barest of props.
Now, by the end of the night, Zach circles back around with Mickey and does, in fact, also reveal that he has the 10K veto power. He explains that he chose not to use it. He didn't want to give $10,000 to Ava, and he wanted to make sure that Morgan didn't go up on the block. And she again is like, "Oh, well, thank you for telling me, but maybe you should have told me earlier." And then talks to Morgan late at night about it. This does not change her mind about evicting Zach over Vince. In fact, as she talks to Morgan, she seems to convince Morgan that yes, in fact, Zach should be voted out over Vince. And hey, if they do keep him, he keeps offering to go up as a pawn for people, but we want to be the ones to nominate him so that we get his 10K. So Zach, having chosen not to use his veto in order to protect Morgan, now is currently sitting in a position where he has ratted out Rachel to both Morgan and Mickey in the hopes of winning them to his side over Vince. And they both currently plan to vote him out over Vince. Morgan voting Zach out over Vince after he did not use the veto on himself to protect her has to happen. Please.
It's like, we need it. Keanu for BB Blockbuster, please. Oh my God. This is insane. Like I'm telling you guys, the way that this has gone back and forth over the past few days, I don't even know if this is fun anymore. Like, I normally love a Waffle Wednesday, but I'm sick of waffles. Like, I'm done. Can we do crepes or something? Like, It was too many waffles. It was too much. It was too much for me. And I don't know. I don't know. I applaud you, Taran, for taking a timeout from the from the episode update. The episode recap.
So that's Mickey's day, right? Mickey, who started the day in a keep Zach over Vinny scenario with Morgan, changed her mind, spent the day campaigning against Zach and primarily Keanu, and by the end of the day, convinces Morgan to jump along with her with that plan. So they both plan to vote Zach out over Vince in that scenario as of last night. Now, there are some other changes. All of those people that Mickey talked to, basically none of them were convinced by any of her arguments. We already talked about Ava. We've already talked a little bit about Catherine, but Catherine and Riley had their own little journey. They talked with all of the nominees, Zach, Vinny, and Keanu. When talking to Vinny, it was the same stuff that he's been doing, but maybe a little bit lighter because he's been focused elsewhere. When talking with Zach, Zach is going through with this idea that he's offering, you can put me on the block as a pawn next week if you keep me around. After Zach leaves his conversation with Riley, he was literally like, what kind of offer is that? Like, get out of here. Riley is actually pissed at Zach for having the gall. He's literally says to Catherine, it's like he wants to talk to us to see where we're at. And it's honestly, I find it so effing annoying. It's like, I don't know what you want from this guy, but
why do people want to talk to me about the game? Ugh.
He's very annoyed at Zach. He wants nothing to do with him. He very much wants him out. And he also talks to Keanu. And Keanu promises his undying loyalty again, says, I'm using the veto on you if I ever have it. You and Catherine, like, I'm with you guys 100%. And Riley later says to Catherine, I don't think I can physically vote Keanu out. I really want him to win the blockbuster. And he says to Keanu, you need to win the blockbuster. And Keanu's like, I think I'm good either way. And he's like, you need to win the blockbuster. And Keanu's like, okay, I'll try to win the blockbuster. So this is important because Catherine and Riley confirmed Mickey's campaign did not seem to work, at least so far, on them. They still plan to vote Zach out over Keanu, which would have been huge if Ashley and Will hadn't weirdly flipped over in that scenario. But still could be theoretically a little bit big. The more important one is something they didn't mention, but is sort of implied by what Riley is saying. Could they plan to vote for Vince to be evicted over Keanu, given what they were talking about, given the way that they both desperately want Keanu to stay? Now, they could just be saying that in the sense that, like, well, we know we have to vote for Vince to stay over Keanu, but the thrust of the day really was for them that they want Keanu to stay. And so there's a chance that they would vote for Keanu to stay, that Riley, thinking the votes might not even be there for Keanu in a Vince versus Keanu scenario, might still vote for Keanu to stay just because he physically can't do the opposite. And that is theoretically important because if both of them vote for Keanu to stay, it could go up to as much as a tie in that spot. And then who knows, right? So Riley and Catherine seemingly have flipped over. But again, the problem is that while they flipped over, potentially, Ashley and Will have also flipped over. Now, and I hate to say this, but Riley and Catherine flipping over fully in their interests. They are making the correct decision to keep Keanu in all circumstances if they do that. Ashley and Will flipping over, completely the opposite. They're voting against their interests. And so I have to stand here on an update and say that Riley and Catherine are two of the smartest voters this week, potentially.
Yeah. And on top of that, they plan on taking Mickey to the final three and then voting her out. It crushed my soul for Riley to turn to Catherine and say, Catherine, I think we can win this. I think we can win this fucking game. And me having to sit here and be like, I think you can too. Like,
I do think that Keanu staying is essential for them. I think that they actually have a pretty decent path to the end game if Keanu stays. If Keanu leaves, I don't think that is as much the case. I think that Zach and Vinny both in the game is very bad for Riley and Catherine. And Keanu in the game is very good for the two of them. But we will see what comes of all of that. So that's happening there. Again, Ashley and Will flipping on the other side of it is wild. But what that means for the vote, we will get to very shortly. Before we get there, I want to talk about Keanu, specifically Keanu and Rachel, because Keanu is spending the day. Again, all of the nominees. Zach is spending the day campaigning for himself. I would say a bit counterproductive at times, like potentially flipping Mickey against him by ratting out Rachel to her for no reason. But Vinny also doing the same, talking a lot with Lauren, talking strategies, talking who he should talk to, who does he need to like convince. He's trying to get Keanu to throw the blockbuster for him. He says to Lauren, not to sound too much like a mastermind, but I am trying to get Keanu to throw the blockbuster for me. Keanu spends the day campaigning, not for himself, but for Vince. And then has the gall to say, I'm not being manipulated by him.
I don't think he's some sort of mastermind with like a mind ray or something.
I've only been tanking my entire safety in the game in order to try to keep him this week. I've only talked about throwing the blockbuster to him so that he can stay. He's only lied to me a couple of times, very nearly put me on the block once, and then blindsided me at a vote before. Rachel, you don't know what you're talking about. He's not a manipulator. He's not lying. He's very trustworthy. And I think that you are wrong.
Keanu, it's an open book test. It's an open book test. And you're failing it. You're failing it, sir. Keanu for Blockbuster. That's all I need to say.
So Keanu spends the day campaigning for Vince to stay. And he talks to Rachel about it, and he's trying to tell Rachel, hey, I'm telling you, we need Vince to stay over Zach. And Rachel's like, I really don't think we should do that. He's like, no, I'm telling you, Vince is willing to not target you. He's good for your game. And Rachel eventually kind of comes around to this. She's like, you know what, Keanu, I don't think we should trust Vinny, but if you really need me to keep Vinny, I will do it for you. And he loves hearing this. And he has a conversation with Kelly after that. And he's like, I really think Rachel's down. I really trust her. And Kelly's like, yeah, I talked to Rachel too. And she said, I don't know why, but I think I trust Keanu. And he's like, well, I know why I trust Rachel. And so they talk a little bit about that. And then Kelly also mentions her conversation with Mickey, because everyone had one. And in that conversation, Mickey said to Kelly, I hope you don't forget that Rachel was the one that voted against you. I hope you're not stupid. And Kelly was like, no, of course, I remember everything. And so she brings this up to Keanu, and she's like, yeah, I was talking to Mickey earlier, and she was like, I hope you're not stupid. And I was like, I'm not stupid. And Keanu's like, yeah, exactly. We can trust Rachel. She's like, no, I'm saying I don't trust Rachel. And he's like, no, we can trust Rachel. She's like, but yeah, to like string her along. He's like, no, I think we can like actually trust her. She's like, I mean, maybe, but what we're saying is that we remember everything. It was just they were very different pages there. Kelly is later going to have another conversation with Rachel about Mickey and them, and she's going to rat Rachel out to Vince again. Kelly very much still not on the Rachel train, despite everything. I don't think ever will be.
Yeah, which it's like, Kelly, you don't have many options. Like, the
weird thing about like Kelly and Keanu are very funny, because Keanu, you can't see the forest through the trees, right? Like he has no idea, but he understands. He's able to understand that he should trust Rachel, that he should work with Rachel, but he doesn't understand that he should at the very least like keep things to himself and like talk to Rachel in a way. Like Rachel's like, I'm not sure that I can trust Keanu because every time I talk to him, he tries to convince me I should trust Vince. Kelly doesn't see that she should be working with Rachel at all, but understands that she should at least pretend like she is. So Rachel actually trusts Kelly more than she trusts Keanu when it should be the opposite. But Keanu then goes back and talks to Rachel again. A couple of times actually, but he's talking again about like really, I want to make sure you're on board to keep Vinny, and she's like, Keanu, and he goes on to say, listen, also, just side note, you told me about like the heavy hitters. You conveniently left out that you were a part of it, Rachel. And she's like, well, it was these people. It was, Jimmy and she doesn't really handle that super well, but she goes on to like, wait, what do you, he's like, I asked Vinny about it. And he was like, yeah, he explained, obviously it was just like a week one thing. And you conveniently left out that you were part of it. And she's like, you told Vinny about it. Why would you do that, Keanu? It's like, because he's not some kind of mastermind. She's like, Keanu, you should not have done that. He's like, it's not a big deal. It was just a 1 week thing. Nobody even cares about it anyway. She's like, Keanu, it was more than a 1 week thing. It was literally the thing until Jimmy was blindsided. And he's like, I mean, it's just like, what does that even really mean? Like Rachel, I feel like you just don't. I feel like you're wrong about this. I feel like you just don't see things correctly. And she's like, Keanu, you're literally a newbie. I've played this game 2 times. You should be listening to me. I know what I'm talking about. I knew you were telling him that at the pool that day. He's like, at the what? I saw you talking to him at the pool right after I told you. I knew you were talking to him about the heavy hitters. I see everything. It's just nobody listens to me.
And she's like, you're delusional. No. You're delusional.
Yeah. And he's like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's not like I'm telling you, Vinny, he didn't put me up week 1. And ever since we've had this trust going, and she's like, Keanu, I had to tell Vinny not to put you up week 1. And he's like, I don't think so, because like who cares that he was in this like heavy hitters? She's like, Keanu, you were not in the rooms when he was talking to them saying, I want Keanu gone. He was like, no, but he told me about it after. She says, that's even crazier. How could you? And he's like, Rachel, that's how the game works. Okay, that's how it works. I do that with you all the time. I was talking to Mickey about how, Rachel is too emotional. We shouldn't want her in the jury because she would be a bitter juror. And then I told you about it. And she was like, you didn't tell me about the emotional part. What are you doing? Why would you say that? That's bad for me, Keanu. He's like, no, it's not. I'm acting like we're not close. And she's like, Keanu, you don't, if you're part of somebody, if you're working with somebody, you don't say things like they're emotional and put ideas in people's heads and make them more of a target. Like when I was convincing Vinny to not put you up week 1, I said, he's a comp beast, so you shouldn't put him up because he'll come down with the blockbuster and then be after you. That's a way to talk about somebody in a way that makes it seem like you're not working with them, but you're still trying to make them not targeted. And he's like, okay. I mean, I get, listen, thank you, coach. I appreciate that. She's like, Keanu. He's like, I'm not being facetious. I'm not being sarcastic. I mean it genuinely. And she's like, and it's so, because you can tell that she knows that he's not being serious because he genuinely thinks that she's dumb, but she can't call him out on it more than she already does because she's trying to work with this fool. And it's genuinely, it's so funny.
It's very much if Johnny had 5 apples energy, to say the least. If you know, you know. And Rachel took him to Big Brother school, and Keanu was just like, no, I don't believe anything that you're saying. It was so funny to watch while also being frustrating. I was cracking up. I was cracking up watching this. I was like, Keanu. But it was
And
funny.
so, of course, right after this conversation, he runs and grabs Vinny and he says, listen, Rachel is so convinced you're like some mastermind and she's so wrong about it. And Vinny's like, what have I done? I don't understand why she's just like so locked in on me. I don't understand why she thinks I'm some kind of mastermind. Like I'm the one, like I'm some alpha starting alliances. Like, of course not. Like it's so weird. I don't understand it. And Keanu's like, I know. She really doesn't understand. Like, yeah, like I tell you everything. He's like, yeah, that's what I was saying. And then she was like, oh, the heavy hitters was more of a thing until the Jimmy blindside. And Vinny's like, yeah, and I mean, like, and that would be fine too. It's because you have to say yes to alliances. Obvious, it's not like I'm trying to create alliances. So it's just like I don't get it. And he's like, yeah, she keeps saying like you're a liar. And like I really think I'm not stupid. If you were that much of a mastermind, I think I would know by now. But he's like, yeah, exactly. You would totally know by now.
Oh my god. Patent that mind ray, whatever. Vince needs to patent it because he got, or is it only work on people like Keanu?
I think it's more like Keanu has a mind shield.
Oh, okay. Like Magneto
that blocks anything from getting in. So he creates his own D&D worlds and is fully uninfluenced by anything else.
There it is. Yeah. Never change, Keanu. Never change.
So this is again a comedy of errors. Again, all the while Vince is trying to convince Keanu to throw the blockbuster for him, so that he can evict Keanu after he does so. And Ava does have a conversation with Keanu as well. She does tell him she'll break a tie in his favor. I do kind of believe her when she says that. At least she intends to. Again, if Mickey is like, Ava, no. Who knows? But Mickey does come back and she comes back again later and it's like, Ava's lying on the couch in the HOH room and she's just like, so Ava, you know what we're doing? She's like, what? Tell me again. What are we? We're evicting. You're breaking the tie to evict Keanu. And she's like, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what we're doing. Yes. It's like, oh boy.
But now the voting scenarios aren't looking like ties. I'm so upset. Like this is ridiculous.
Okay, let's talk about the voting scenarios.
Yeah.
So in the event that Keanu is up against Zach or Vince, we'll start, I guess, with Zach. You do have Ashley, you have Lauren, Mickey, Morgan, you have Vince, and you have Will, all voting to evict Keanu over Zach. Which is wild because Will and Ashley should not be doing that. But what are you gonna do?
I initially I knew Will would vote out Keanu because he said he couldn't vote out Zach because of the London trip, but I thought Ashley would be a vote to evict Zach.
You'd figure Ashley has common sense. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so that's why I thought that was the one scenario, Keanu versus Zach, that I thought was like definitely gonna go to a tie. But now with Ashley switching her vote, Keanu goes.
Yes. So that's how it currently stands. There is still a chance. It's only one vote away. So theoretically, if Ashley flips her vote in any capacity, or if Will does, or anybody theoretically could, although if it's going to be anybody, it's likely Ashley. It could still end up as a tie, and in a tie, I do fully believe that Ava would break the tie to evict Zach over Keanu. But again, it's very close. And so the main thing to watch out for today is what kind of conversations is Ashley going to have specifically with Rachel after her conversation with Morgan or with Mickey the night before, maybe even a conversation with Will about like the things Mickey has been pitching and how Ava should go on the block and how apparently she's going to go up on the block next to Rachel and all of that. It's possible that Ashley changes her mind, in which case Keanu would stay against Zach. But as of right now, 6-4, it would likely be Keanu leaving. Keanu versus Vince also seemingly has Ashley and Will voting to evict Keanu, although I think that's an easier sell for them to flip to evict Keanu over Vinny. But theoretically, this is the Keanu versus Vinny is like a very strange vote because Ashley and Will, like I said, could flip theoretically to evict or more likely to flip to evict Vinny over Keanu than they are to evict Zach over Keanu. Catherine and Riley also maybe votes for Keanu to stay over Vinny, but that's not guaranteed by any means either. So you really only have Rachel and Kelly as kind of like locked in votes to evict Vinny over Keanu, with 4 more potential theoretical votes, maybe. But even Rachel's vote is not guaranteed because she did tell Keanu at multiple points, I might be willing to vote to keep Vinny for you. Although I don't think, obviously, she would do that against Keanu. So scratch that. That was the other scenario. So it could be a tight vote, especially if Catherine and Riley vote that way. It could be, again, 6-4 with Ashley and Will, again, being the swings to evict Keanu, which, again, is actually wild.
Because in Keanu versus Vince, Keanu has 4 locked in votes to evict. So he has Morgan, Mickey, Zach, and Lauren that would be locked in to vote for him to go. And Vince only has the 2 locked in with Rachel and Kelly. So it really does come down to what Ashley and Will does and what Riley and Kat does.
Yep. And then you have the Vince versus Zach vote, where you have Ashley and Will and theoretically Rachel, again, although she's promised or she's told Keanu she might be willing to go in the other direction, but theoretically Ashley, Will, and Rachel all votes for Zach to stay. However, Catherine, Kelly, Lauren, Mickey, Morgan, and Vince. Vince is voting. Keanu. Keanu is also voting Zach out. So there's a ton of Zach people there. Mickey and Morgan were the deciders on this particular vote, and they have currently decided to evict Zach over Vince. So that is currently where things stand there. Of course, Catherine and Riley would also be voting against Zach. So it's potentially a landslide there against Zach because Mickey and Morgan have gone in a different direction.
Wild. Because again, yesterday at the beginning of the day, I had that as a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
So the bottom line is, in any Keanu vote, we're looking at potentially something as close as 6-4. But with the option of things maybe going a little haywire today, because it's so close that it could definitely still flip. But Keanu likely needs to win the blockbuster if he wants to stay this week. Then Zach is very likely going to be evicted over Vinny. The votes are way more lopsided in that scenario, theoretically, but still could theoretically flip if Morgan and Mickey change their minds again. They would just have to put a lot of work in today to make it all happen as soon as tonight. So Keanu in most danger, Zach in second most danger, Vince potentially safe in all scenarios, but not locked in by any means.
Wow. Just wow.
And it's genuinely, it's just like so many people doing things that are bad for them. It's hard to, like, Keanu's doing his thing, Kelly's doing her thing, Zach not using the power, Ashley and Will voting against Keanu for no good reason. Rachel playing for broke and continuing to make herself a target. Mickey and Morgan continuing to play themselves into a hole. Like, for as much as Mickey is trying to dictate this vote, she's not only failing to do so in a significant way, but also, like, the end goal doesn't seem good for her. For as much as she's like pulling Zach over, I do not believe that Zach will choose her over Lauren in any capacity at any point in this season.
Right.
And she's already starting to lose Riley and Catherine, the people that she betrayed Jimmy for just last week, in the process of making a move that I don't think is very good for her in the first place. She is on a fair amount of target lists. If Keanu does stay, that's seemingly even worse for her. Because she's been so anti-Keanu for so long, but you know, you never know. But like, that's a whole disaster happening, and you know, it's just like who is even like Ava, for as much as she's making correct-ish decisions, is still hanging out upstairs all day, not talking to anybody, and remaining a target now for her own allies, apparently, because she chose to ally with Mickey, and it really just like. It leaves you with what? With Catherine and Riley? With Vince and Lauren? Is that all we have at best? Because if that's the cream of the crop this season, we are in trouble.
Exactly. It's like, who do I want to be punished for their mistakes first and more? And it's like, I can't choose because they've all made mistakes, but are not like, I do want Zach to go home with the money in his pocket. I'm not gonna lie, that is probably number one. But like,
I'm envisioning, and I want it to. I'm envisioning Morgan in the diary room. Oh, it's really sucks. I really sadly vote to evict Zach. I'm really sorry. Shout out to my mom and I. Everyone is what is right.
We need it.
And then Julie interviewing Zach. Zach, so you chose not to use your power to save yourself because you didn't want Morgan to go up on the block. Do you think Morgan voted for you to stay?
I need Julie with the card. I need her to hit him. I don't care. I need somebody backstage to tell her we need to recreate the Marcellus moment. We need it. We absolutely need it. Somebody let Julie know right now.
Please. All right. I interrupted you, Mari. I apologize.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say how these people's moves. What's even more frustrating when you're watching players make like boneheaded moves and boneheaded decisions is when they like pay off as well. Like,
right?
Mickey. I was so hoping that Mickey getting rid of Jimmy last week was gonna lead to Morgan going this week, and then her being the top target next week, and all of Triple Threat going out back to back.
Very close.
Exactly. But like, even Mickey's move, like I said, at least Riley is talking to Catherine about bringing Mickey to the final three. Like, I don't think that's not what Catherine wants, but Riley was actually talking about that. And I'm like, okay. Like, none of it makes any sense.
The thing for me is that Mickey talked to Morgan last night, late into the night, about how, with more M&Ms, about how her ideal final four was the two of them with Will and Ava.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's not really wrong. But how is what you're currently doing enabling you to get there? Because everything you're doing is harming Ava and Will and Ashley and all of the people that are protecting that side, while enabling Zach and Vinny and Lauren and all of that side. So how do you intend to get past those people, especially as we get to the end game and they become more and more capable of winning competitions against the other side of Ava and Will? How do you intend to get them to the final four if this is how you're playing the game?
Sheer will, apparently, just sheer will. She's just the M&Ms. She literally went week by week and get rid of these people, get rid of these, like factoring in nothing, like not factoring the competitions, not factoring who could win HOH and take out who, like just bootless from top to bottom. And then she's like, a final six. I guess we could maybe we could keep Vinny and Lauren for six. Yeah, let's. I'm like, what? Okay.
I've never seen somebody so active and so actively put themselves in the worst possible position. Like,
yeah,
it's just wild. All right. Well, anything else to mention, Mari?
Just that, like, I know with this season, without having rewinds and flashbacks, it's really hard, and there's a lot of like disinformation and stuff out there. Like you addressed that, Taran.
Mm-hmm.
But as for me, if you see me tweet it and I say it's verbatim, it is verbatim. Okay. All right. I just want to put that out there for everybody. All right. I don't.
Somebody tried to check Mari, I think.
They did. And I'm like, don't come for me. Put a crowd on my name. Don't come for me.
These newbies.
Yeah. But no, it's been fun. Yeah, on Blue Sky, check me out at Mari Talks Too Much, too like the number 2.
Yes.
Talk to me nicely and I'll talk back.
All right. Well, of course, you can find my book, Behind the Mirror. Look, Mari has one.
Yes.
If you want one, you can go to taranarmstrong.com and pre-order it now.
Yeah.
Look how pretty it is.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, the version you're gonna get is even cooler because it's like an actual hardcover. So check that out, of course. And Mari, there's also been some big news that just dropped during this podcast. The Amazing Race cast just dropped. Big Brother has taken over The Amazing Race, and I think I'm going to be jumping on the Reality Flash with Mike Bloom to talk about it right after this update ends. So if you want to tune in for the cast reveal conversation going on for The Amazing Race with a cast full of Big Brother players, check that out soon.
So excited. Izzy is back on my TV.
There it is.
Okay,
then, of course, tonight we will be live for the eviction recap with one Angela Murray. So if you want to hear what Angela has to say about these players and the fact that, and I'm not kidding, she's a better player than most of them, then we will be talking with Angela tonight. I will also be streaming on Twitch and YouTube live during tonight's episode, so you can get my live reactions to the blockbuster and everything. Then tomorrow for the patrons, we have the Big Brother Q&A and live shows in New York and San Francisco. The tickets are on sale for the patrons for San Francisco. I think they opened to everyone for New York now. I'm not entirely sure, but not yet. But they are open for patrons only for San Francisco as well now. I will be going to the San Francisco show for the Survivor Know-It-Alls live show. So if you want to hang out there, you can. And then, of course, check out Chat BCC, and everything going on over there. That's about it. That's what we have for you. Anything else, Mari?
No. Like I said, fun season with the fans, frustrating on our TV, but yeah, check us out. Hopefully I can get to a live show this year. We'll see. But I'm so excited. Thank you for having me, Taran.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today, and I will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.